Call the meeting to order of the Bay County Veterans Affairs Committee, Tuesday, August 11th, 2020, 3 p.m. Roll call. Ms. Craig's going to do it.
Lazars.
He's here. Yep.
I'm here.
Stewart.
Here.
Pantal.
Excused.
And Begic.
Here.
Quorum present.
Yep. We have minutes from 7/14/2020. Maryland has some changes. What do we have? Right. Yes, it should be committee meeting, I guess, up at the top there. Department of Veterans Affairs Committee meeting.
And under motions 2020-8,
Yep.
my name is spelled wrong.
2020, yes, we need 2020. And you're the secretary, so.
Correct, I'll make these changes.
Oh, yes, we do have Marilyn Lazars, the Secretary Pro Tem. John Van Tol's excused. Any other corrections to the minutes? Otherwise, a motion would be in order to approve.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as corrected.
I'll second.
John Van Tol, Marilyn Lazars, okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Alrighty. Citizens input. I believe we have a citizen here. Mr. Zippler? Fred Zippler.
Yeah,
Yes, we can.
Yes.
I was trying to give an update on the van program, the transportation. We have not been running since March, what was it, 16th, I guess. The governor put her foot down. However, there's a few exceptions to that. If you folks, maybe you already know, there's at least one fellow that goes 3 times a week for dialysis. There was a handful of other ones that go for chemotherapy. Now, they may be done now. I don't know. We lost 3 drivers because of this virus. Well, one went to Florida. He's not coming back. Tom Brady had shoulder replacement. Once he's good to go, I'm gonna have a meeting with all the remaining drivers, and we'll go from there. I bought 300 masks out of my pocket, so we're prepared in case we get up and running again. And they say once Tom gets up in good shape, we'll see where we go from there. Questions?
That's for the 300 masks.
Oh, I don't remember. I think it was $35 100. I don't have the receipts. Of course, I bought them a long time ago, and I just threw them away. But I'll pay for them.
Thank you. All right. Any other? Maybe we'll call on you later. That's all for citizens input. Petitions, communications, don't have any. Courts, resolutions, don't have any. We have some. Old business, transportation cell phones. I believe Craig Goulet has provided us with minutes from October 15th of 2019, where we discussed the cell phones. And I understand right now, Mr. Zippler has been submitting the bill for those three cell phones right now, and it's been about 104, 100. Okay. Mr. Golay suggests that we maybe make a motion to pay up to like $110 to cover the phones in case there's some increases along the line. Finance is fairly particular about authorizations and what we pay.
Okay, so they've gone up because we had a motion 2019-25 to reimburse Fred $58.02 a month. So the phones are up to $100 a month. Okay.
Yeah, that's straight.
Good. All right, I move we reimburse Fred up to how much, $102 a month?
110. Yeah.
Okay. I move we reimburse Fred $105 a month to cover the phones. Will that take care of it, Fred? Or do you need 100?
Has the price changed?
You know the old saying about wanting one hand and something
You
else.
go to the podium, Fred. You go to the podium. They want to. Nick wants to hear you.
Craig is-
iPhones.
It's a phone, not a computer.
Fred,
Stand
he
up.
wants you at the podium. Show him the phone.
Craig's got a question, Laura.
Yeah.
You see that, Craig?
I'm here.
Phones. So Craig actually suggested up to 110 in case there's a price increase.
Okay, good. My motion is to make it $110 to reimburse Fred Zippler for the phones.
I'll support.
Motion by Mike, support by John. Craig has comments.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So where the confusion lied with when you read the previous motion in October, it stipulates that it covers the two phones, et cetera. But there was some confusion that we historically were always paid for one phone that the coordinator used. With the addition of two phones, now they're all merged under one plan for Verizon. So we just wanted to make sure it's clear and gives a little leeway. So if the bill comes out and tax is a little bit higher for 1 month, for instance, we don't get locked into just paying that $102.78. Well, if it comes in at $102.79, it'll get flagged. So that way we're just covered. The language is allows for a little bit of leniency with that invoice.
We have a motion support. Any more discussion? Yeah. Reimburse up to $110 for the 3 cell phones. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I can
Thank you.
flap my fanny.
Let me squeeze one thing in here before we go to administrative rules, because those might take a little while. Thomas Ewell, any update on that from Mark Kasmerick? Yes.
Yep. I have reached out to the gentleman we talked to in February about getting going again on getting his name engraved down in front of the building. As yet, I've not heard back. So I have reached out to at least get that going again.
So still working on Thomas Ewell being added to the memorial out front. So been approved, just a matter of getting it done. Okay, thank you. So we have administrative rules and bylaws. What would you like to do first? I guess we got administrative rules on the list.
I think they're one document.
Okay, so it's really one. So administrative procedures.
Mr. Chair, could I ask a clarification question before we start going through text changes?
Yep.
My question is, I'm a bit confused in looking through the document why we are creating a bylaw document when we're a statutorily created committee under Act 139, because we're technically created by the resolution of the board. So just from a legal standpoint, I think that perhaps the better way to set it up would be to include a portion of the bylaws along with the administrative procedures policy that you have, and put it together in one board document that is just board rules.
I don't have a problem with that. You know, most organizations, most veterans organizations, such as the American Legion and VBA, we have bylaws normally, but we're volunteer organizations. So I don't have a problem with that. If the JAG, you didn't know you were the JAG, did you? The JAG thinks that's the way to do it, then that's probably a good idea.
I'm kind of frightened if that's true, but okay. But what I can do is I can take what you're going to be looking at basically is taking Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, and Article 4 are going to be merged into the board rules, which is what you have listed right now as your administrative policy. So they're going to be somewhat condensed. So, you know, I would tend to put citations to the statutes in as opposed to the public act, just because people have difficulty finding the statute that follows along with the public act because they don't know where to look. So I would put those statutory references in as well. One thing that I would remove from the document is in the bylaws section, and that includes the job descriptions of the Director of Veterans Affairs.
Lost to Amber. Your microphone went off. Oh, she did.
Sorry, I'm working between like 3 different documents here. So what I would suggest is that we remove the Administrative Director, County Veteran Service Officer, and the Assistant County Veteran Service Officer from the document, because we have 3 separate documents in the form of the job descriptions that already set forth those responsibilities. I have difficulty with the administrative director because of the way we're set up under Act 139. He directly reports to the county executive who drafted that job description. So we're restricted in terms of the confines of what we can do with that. With regard to the county veteran service officer and the assistant, they both have job descriptions, and at this point in time, I hesitate because this document would lead a general person to believe that these individuals are employees as opposed to contractors. I know that this is an issue that we want to address, and so in the future that may not be a problem, and I do think that we need to address it relatively soon. But for purposes of this overall governing document, I think you should steer clear of that for now.
Comments?
I think that's fine. The question I have is, which belly button is going to make those changes?
Amber's smiling, but she's muted.
You're muted, Amber.
Sorry, I'm pushing on my space bar to talk, and if it's in a different document, it doesn't work. So I think that perhaps what we need to do is broach the issue with the county executive and the board chair of the Board of Commissioners. I think the person that would be best to do that at this point in time would be Chairman Begic. He's going to not only have a vote on the board, but also, quite frankly, the most sway with the players that are going to be making that decision. I would be more than happy to sit in on any meeting that you want to schedule. I'll be more than happy to set it up so I can explain to the county executive and the members of the board why we think that change needs to be made. It would probably also be helpful to have your administrative director there and our personnel director there so we can go through all of the issues that we're looking at right now with the Fair Labor Standards Act.
Good to me. Is that okay with the committee?
Sounds good to me. You know, I think that's good for coordinating this effort and getting approval for it. But once again, I get back to the question I have, and I always ask, which belly button is actually going to do the work? Who's going to do the nug work? Is that going to be Vaughn B. Gick? Is that going to be Amber? Is that going to be me? Is that going to be a clerk at the county building?
I think it would be, first of all, setting up the meeting with the group administrative director, personnel, county exec, board chair, and then, you know, deciding from there how we're going to draw it up. I think that it could be the personnel person who might be setting up. If they become county employees, then it would be a job description that the personnel director would set up.
Yeah, so what we would be doing, I agree with the chair. What we would be doing after the meeting, if it looks like we have support, is we're going to have to draft up appropriate job descriptions, make a determination as to what union placement would be made if there's going to be any union placement. And so we're going to have to sit down and talk to the powers that be at the unions in terms of what is the appropriate step that they would be on under any collective bargaining agreement. After we talk to the unions, we have to come up with an agreeable job description that's going to fit within that step. And we would have to take it under the personnel department to the board to add those positions so they would be permanently added to the budget.
Sound like a plan?
Well, it sounds like a plan, but I'm almost thinking we got two separate topics here. One is the administrative rules for the committee, and the other one is the turning the employees or the contractors into full-time employees. Am I correct, or are they the same issue?
I agree it's two separate issues. The only reason this one's come up is because I think that we need to remove these job descriptions out of your administrative rules. And that being said, the reason why is because we're looking at a change with employees. So yes, if you're going to do that, you're going to need two separate motions.
I don't have a problem with removing them from the administrative procedures. Once again, I'll get back to the question of who's going to do that, because that's a separate issue than making Mark a full-time employee.
I'll do that.
Right.
Yeah, I'll do that.
You'll do that?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Who's looking for that belly button?
It's hard to find belly buttons half the time, you know, they don't want to stand up.
So on that, do we want to remove bylaws, or whatever we end up calling it?
I think the bylaws are still in a draft format.
Right.
It can be removed without a motion.
Okay.
And what I'll do is I will put this together, make the changes that I suggested. Craig can put them out with the next agenda, and you can do a final approval at your next Zoom meeting.
Perfect. I got a Band-Aid on my thumb, but that's a thumbs up.
Yes, it's thumbs up. Any other, let's see, there's also a suggestion, you said Articles 1 through 6 of the administrative procedures. So then 7, 8, 9, and 11, 12, those remain in there, or are we removing those? Those are more procedural things.
I think what's going to happen is you're going to find that a lot of them are going to be combined together. And so I'll make sure that I'll make sure that I provide a copy of both of these to you, so you'll be able to follow along and see where the changes are. I think if I give it to you in a red line version, it's going to be super confusing because things are getting moved around quite a bit. But if I give you a copy of each, you'll be able to compare and see where the differences are. But I don't, other than what I've noted for the removals, I don't see any substantive changes. You might see some prose change and some consolidation of different paragraphs, but it's going to read to state the same thing.
Okay, so I move we table the administrative procedures until Amber provides us all with the new draft.
Or,
Second.
okay. Marilyn, further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Any other new business or old business, I guess? New business?
I just want to reiterate once again, and we brought it up at the last meeting, I think it is imperative that Mark Kazmarek become a full-time county employee. He is the backbone of what this county does for veterans support. So that needs to happen. You know, in the driver's program, just a little comment on the driver's program, I think eventually we need to go to looking at part-time paid drivers to do this. I mean, those are our two big programs in this department, and we need to support them financially.
Enough. Any other new business or old business? New business, I'd just like to have Mark give us a report on what Veterans Affairs or what's going on in his department, Veteran Service.
So just a real quick update for the office. Scheduling is still pretty busy. Most days we're doing a lot of more phone calls, a lot more email, a lot more mail-based claims, and other questions are still coming in that way. So not a lot of folks want to come in. They don't want to see anyone. They just want to, you know, and email and all that. It works just great. So it's just things are taking a little bit longer than one meeting in the office. We're done. Now it's like, oh wait, you missed this on this form, send it back, send it, get a signature. So, but.
So doing the compensation and pension, and we're starting, there's a lot of people coming in. There's a lot of claims being filed. Blue Water Navy had one of those yesterday for one of the presumptive diagnoses that they have, including diabetes and a few other ones, and they're trying to catch up because they missed 3 months of that. There's a lot of claims coming in.
VA is still way behind on claims. Obviously, they're reaching at 190,000 claims that are over 125 days. Total claim packages, not just, but they're running 460,000 claims in the system right now.
And I think they're still doing virtual. Someone told me at one of our meetings about a third virtual, a third they come in and get something, and a third in person. So they're not doing a lot of in person.
No, yeah, they're still trying to roll it out and still trying to and figure out what people want to do. I know that even the hearings are still virtual. They're still not doing BVA hearings in person that I'm aware of. They're still doing, or trying to do as many as they can with people with laptops. And
seem to be getting a lot of remands or requests for rehearing, I guess. There's a lot, so I don't know if there's a lot of disagreement with the findings. I guess apparently there's disagreement with the findings, so that's why they're getting remanded.
Either there wasn't a proper exam done, or the judge can't make a determination based on what they have in front of them. We're seeing a lot of those that are coming back, and people are like, what's going on? It's been a year, and it's like, it's been a year at least for remands to get back, to get rescheduled out for CMPs or whatever the judge is trying to get an answer to. So
Administrative law judges are pretty picky. Has a lot of remands about some technicalities that's not clear to them. And you know, these are, I don't know how much medical experience there are many judges basically. So they're looking at the letter of the law, the technicalities, you know, and there's been a lot of litigation also about some of the things that have happened to veterans, you know, the Shinseki, and if it's a flare up or if it's a functional loss, and that there's It's getting
Is
pretty
it a-
technical.
Is it a secondary condition based on, diabetes? Now you've got neuropathy. Now you've got,
Right.
or is it? So it's
Yeah, and that's right. There's three. There's direct effect, something that you had an injury, amputation, something direct. If it's secondary causes like neuropathy due to diabetes, and if it's associated or progressive, if it's something that you had before you went in the service. I had one of those yesterday. They had it before, but in the service, the question is, did it get worse?
did it get
in the
worse?
service?
Right.
That's another finding that you can do. So you have to make a determination on that. So.
Yeah, and they're sending back. We're seeing a lot of things coming back. We're seeing the judges deny things that hearing loss, for example, is one of the huge things that's coming back denied from VA, not just from the BVA, but from the VA itself. That hearing loss tinnitus is not incurred in service.
Yes, I see most of the time it comes back, tinnitus is covered, they get 10% on a lot of them, but hearing loss, 0, but I think that means they can still go to the VA to get it.
Still can get hearing aids if you need them, yes.
Hearing assistance
based on
there.
either one of those, yes.
But no compensation.
But 0 compensation, exactly, at a non-compensatable rate.
It's not for the faint of heart. This is very technical, and I had like 4, not remands, but where they review it, they send it back to me, I review it, rewrite it, review it, sent like 3 and 4 times. But they want to make sure it's right, because if it goes through, then it gets sometimes bounced back again, and they have a remand.
And that's then we're getting technical on nexus letters as well. From your doctor says this, but it has to be very specific, very within these. Has to say more likely than not, or.
The other thing is getting all the private records, medical records. Make sure you get it into the system. I see that a lot where they've missed. They don't get the records that are pertinent to their disease. The VA usually gets stuff in there pretty good, but if you go to a private doctor to get it into the system, the way that you can load it back in that way.
And that's one thing I was asked during a claim is, do you have private records? We'll send the VA can request them so they get loaded back into the system if you don't have them.
All right. And they are starting to use the new phrase, the veteran statement, because sometimes there aren't records on some things that have happened to veterans. So they say you should now take the veteran statement of facts as fact, to believe the veterans. So
veteran states.
So there's a history that's not in the record anywhere, about an injury in the service that the veteran remembers, like I had one the other day. So I'm out in the field, I got injured, I couldn't get in to see anybody. We're out on a mission or something, and I just didn't want to go back for sick call.
So they saw the field medic and he gave you some aspirin.
Yeah. So they want us to.
The problem there lies with there's no proof. And burden of proof goes back to the veteran, not to the VA.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Interesting work. Marilyn?
What increase have you seen in the blue water veterans, if any, that served in Vietnam 12 nautical miles?
There was a period, I would say, where it was really quiet, where there wasn't any discussion. We would talk about it. Yeah. If someone called and had a question, we're like, well, they're not doing anything about it. Then all of a sudden the ruling came out. So now and then all these people that either had proof that they were in during that time within the 12 nautical miles or had previously been denied for something that now can be a presumptive because they're within the 12 nautical miles so there was I would say a 10% increase in claims just based on that, whether the veteran had passed already in the time frame that had come about from. So I'd say 10 to 15% maybe.
Okay, thank you.
Also on that, Marilyn, so January 1st is when the law kicked in because it was a long fight to get the benefits. I'm seeing a lot of veterans who are on ships loading up the planes with the Agent Orange, and it's like spilling over and getting on them and stuff. So I think a lot of veterans have had that happen where they've been on the ships to load whatever plane it was to go out and fly the mission, and they get exposed to Agent Orange that way. So that I think they recognize that as a problem area now too.
And that's in finding records with the JSSRC or with through the DOD or some other, just trying to find a record, a log on a ship or there's one that we're working on right now that there's no logs between this period except for this month right here. It's like, well, where are the logs? Well, if you'd have read the gentleman's thing, he was a special ops guy. So
And some of them have actually been boots on the ground. It's not documented. I think that's just part of the record keeping. I had one the other day who said, yes, I went in and did a mission and came back right away. So he was on the ground, not stationary shift, but.
And the thing with the Navy is, did you get off? No. Were you at the dock?
Yeah. All right. Any other questions for Mark? Looks like we can maybe have some public comment here. Mr. Zippler looks like he might have some more comments. Oh, just moving around. Okay. Any miscellaneous?
I've got a question about what happened with Bay Veterans Foundation.
So the Bay Vets Foundation has decided to pull their request for funds from us. And our legal counsel apparently is also looking at the legality of doing that. So I think we've asked for a written statement on that. Is that correct, legal counsel? Craig, I think Craig submitted a request.
He
Yeah,
did.
I did forward that. I can let Amber talk. Sorry.
I'm
Go ahead,
sorry.
Amber.
Yep, no, Craig did put in a request for that. We are researching and drafting a legal opinion. I think that we've actually already provided a limited legal opinion on this in the past, but it was to the Board of Commissioners. So we're revamping that for this board. And I will have that to you if you wish before the next board meeting as well.
I think that would be good.
No problemo.
So right now, no request.
Perfect.
Yep. Any other comments, questions? Otherwise, a motion to adjourn is always in order.
Motion to adjourn?
Carol? Mike, all right. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.